The next change that we're going to do in this particular lecture is within the customer controller, we are going to publish the message to the inventory.customer queue to tell that this particular product details have been updated and inventory has to be updated as well, so that the inventory service can consume that particular message and update its database as well. That's what we are going to be doing in this particular video. So in order to do that, as you can see, once we post to the customer, we then also need to somehow publish the message. So for doing it, let's go to this particular constructor. I want to call the RabbitMq utility, and then I'm going to introduce a field. I'm going to do something like this. As you can see, all I'm trying to do is I'm going to serialize the product object over here, where I'm going to say that, all right, so this is the product ID that the customer has purchased, and the total number of items that he has purchased is this one. And then I'm going to publish that to the inventory.customer routing key, which is the queue, and then I'm going to pass this particular message to it. So this is the message that I really wanted to publish so that the consumer can then consume it and process the message over there. I could probably do an await here because this is an asynchronous code. So this is the code that we have to do over here in the controller side. And because we have published this message, we also need to consume this message in the inventory side over here so that the code can be executed. But again, we don't really have any code logic written for the RabbitMq utility over here. So I'm going to write the consumption part as well. And the way I'm going to do it is going to be something like this. So this is the copy pasted code once again, but I will explain you what this code is going to do. But before I do that, I'm also going to create a constructor over here, and I'm going to include the service scoped factory of the service scoped factory because we need the scope for the database. All right, so this lesson message, as you can see over here, it's going to be pretty much exactly the same thing. Like the definitions are pretty much exactly the same. Like it has the channel, routing key, and the cancellation token. It has all the things that we already discussed, but the only thing it has extra is, as you can see, for the parse customer message from the topic, it is going to look for what is called as the inventory.customer this time, rather inventory.product queue. That was a major change in this particular method. Other than that, the method is almost the same. And you can see that what we're trying to do here is we're going to get the particular product ID, which is going to come in from the particular message. We're then going to process that message, and all we're going to do is if the item bought from that particular data is actually less than or equal to the currently in hand, try to subtract that value from the currently in hand to the items bought so that we can update this particular quantity in our inventory and we can make the changes within our database. And then we are also going to publish the updated product information to the inventory.product, not inventory.customer, sorry about that. And once we do that, you will see that there will be an updated product information available in the product queue. So this is how we are going to be doing that updation over here. So this is the change that we have to do within our RabbitMq utility in the inventory side as well. So now that almost all the changes that we require are already there in place. But once again, as you know, that we require the service, which is the RabbitMq service, which is going to listen to that particular thing. So we have to go ahead and do that as well. And I'm going to paste a particular RabbitMq service. And let's change the namespace. And we also need to listen the message so that it could able to be grabbed. So I'm going to go to this particular interface and I'm going to paste this guy over here. The IE model is nothing but the one from the RabbitMq client. There we go. It's all done. And I think the RabbitMq service is now happy, but we now need to listen the message, which is cool. And this is not inventory.product, but this is going to be inventory.customer because this is going to be the customer topic which is required for the inventory service. So I think we have almost done all these changes. The final change is going to be on the program side, where we are going to be listening the particular change. So I'm going to do this, copy this here. I'm gonna paste it. That's it, I guess. So I'm gonna try running it, and we will see in this particular demo that whether if I make any purchase from the consumer, even the inventories are being updated or not. So that's going to be the exercise of this particular demo. So let's say if I am going to, let's see if I have all the products. There we go. I have a mouse. So I'm going to copy this particular product ID, and I'm as a customer are going to buy a product. So let's say I'm going to get rid of this ID because that's not required. Let's say Karthik is going to buy this particular product, and the current product is 200. So let's say if I buy 100 of them, so the remaining 100 should be there while I try to access the product. So let's say if I try accessing the product, currently you can see that we have 200 mouse. But now if I try to execute this, because the customer has bought this, and if I try executing this, it should be essentially 100, but it is not. I guess there is something wrong going on there. So if I just go and see the inventory service, I think the inventory service has got the RabbitMq service here, but maybe it's not even listening that. I guess this is happening because we have not correctly listened to the particular service for some reason. So let's see if I go to the program.cs file, we have registered them all correctly. And I'm gonna do a debug in the RabbitMq service over here. So let's see if we even hit this particular breakpoint. Yeah, we are hitting this breakpoint, which is great. And on the listen message queue, if we go to the implementation over here, we're gonna have these informations right here. Let's try executing them all. Ram is going to consume this particular product. So the product ID is this, and this is the value over here. And I'm gonna say 50 of them is what I'm going to be consuming. And if I do an execute, so you can see that now it is coming over here for this particular product scope. But here what we have typed is inventory.consumer. That is the problem here. So let's change this to inventory.customer. I think that is the problem. And that's the reason why this whole execution was stopped. And also let's see if the controller that we have created is correct. It is customer, which is correct. And now let's try to run the whole execution and see if we have the correct logic. So I think the whole execution was stopped. Nothing has been saved into the database as well, which is great. So we then I'm going to say that for this particular mouse that we have, which is this particular product ID, and I'm going to paste over here, and I'm going to say maybe Ramesh, he's going to buy this product, 50 of them. So now if you go to the inventory to get the product, you'll notice that we have 200 mouse still, and we're going to buy 50 products. And hopefully this time if I execute, you will notice that the quantities is 150. So it is super instant, and we have seen that this is actually working fine as expected, which is great. And now if I could go to the get products over here, you will notice that from 200 the product is 150, which means now the consumer and the producer from both the customer API as well as the inventory API are working as expected.